Maybe there's someone here who wishes to be heard on them, but because the planning board did not have a meeting this particular cycle yet, on number 6, ordinances, ordinance 2019-22, 23, and 24, since they are all planning and development regulations that have to be submitted to the planning board, and the mayor and council received recommendations from the planning board, and in light of the board having not met, those matters will be deferred and tabled to the June 19th meeting. Is there a motion to table? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so those matters are tabled from this evening's meeting. Next, we have a number of wonderful ceremonial events, and I am perfectly elated to welcome the best state senator in the state of New Jersey, our own representative, the Honorable Vin Gopal, our state senator. I figured he didn't need introduction, but I'd introduce him anyhow since he's been so good to us. But we are here to commemorate Risa Clay, and of course we are all here to thank her for her many years of service to all of the children, residents, parents, administrators, staff, and everyone else who has come into her field during her tenure at Red Bank Regional, and we know she's not going to be too far away. But before the state senator provides his remarks, the Borough Council has issued a proclamation which reads as follows. Whereas Risa Clay has enjoyed a prestigious career in the field of education, serving in positions ranging from counselor to serving as the principal of Red Bank Regional High School, and whereas Mrs. Clay earned her bachelor's degree at the State University of New York at Oneonta and her master's at Montclair University, and later obtained certifications as a New Jersey school administrator and New Jersey principal. And whereas she joined the staff of Red Bank Regional High School in 1992 as a student assistance coordinator, where she provided counseling and administered the school's drug and alcohol policy. And whereas Mrs. Clay wrote a grant for and established and directed an award-winning school-based youth services program, created a foundation for the board, and established a nonprofit 501c3 status, and the program was visited by schools nationwide. And whereas her numerous accomplishments culminated with her being named assistant principal in 2006 and principal in 2009. And whereas Mrs. Clay has been the recipient of awards, including the Partner in Education Award, the Martin Luther King Community Service Award, the Women of Achievement Award, the NAACP Education of the Year Award, as well as many, many more awards. And whereas after a lifetime of dedicated service to the youth of our community, Risa Clay has decided to enjoy a much-deserved retirement. Now, therefore, I, Pasquale Mena, Mayor of the Borough of Red Bank, do hereby proclaim May 22, 2019 as a day of celebration and recognition to a woman who has given so much throughout her years, and on behalf of all of the residents of Red Bank, and indeed all of the residents and students and former students of Little Silver and Shrewsbury and the other sending districts, we wish to thank her for her dedication and contribution to our children, as we wish her health and happiness as she enters this new chapter of her life. Congratulations. Senator.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor and Council, for allowing me to be here for a few seconds for an extraordinary individual. Also happy to see everyone stood for you and they weren't here to complain about an issue going on in town, so that's good, because that would have been a warning cloud if I saw all these people here. Risa is an extraordinary individual, and I know so many of you know her. I can tell you from a very personal level, to me, she's been extraordinary over the last several years, her and her husband, and the commitment they've given not just to Red Bank, but the community surrounding. And there's so many students who I've come across who, as soon as I say Monmouth County or Red Bank or Tinton Falls or anywhere in the area, they say Risa Clay. And I think of one student specifically who we all know, Elijah, who years ago, Elijah was like, you gotta meet my principal, like she's amazing, this and that. And I found someone who was so warm when I got to go to her home and meet, when I was running, meet her and her husband, someone who's so warm, so compassionate, and is in education for all the right reasons. And when it's all said and done, the number of lives that she has touched and will continue to touch will be extraordinary. So on behalf of myself, Assemblyman Hotaling, Assemblywoman Downey, I want to present you with a citation to thank you for all that you did to help lift so many kids up.
Sorry, Suzanne. Getting my rear end.
I told Risa we got 2 for the price of 1 with her and Mike, so we've been blessed, doubly blessed.
Yes.
Yeah, Tom, you're here. Why don't you come on up?
I'll be brief. I should get done by 8:45 or something. Now, if I stumble and fumble and bumble, it's because of the dementia. So bear with me. Don't say anything because I won't hear it. So thank you all for recognizing and honoring Risa Clay's work over the 26 years at RBR. But why? Why do we honor Risa? We have, I don't know, 350 high schools in New Jersey. Principals retire all the time. Well, we know chronologically from 92 to 98 she was a student assistance counselor. We know from 99 to 2005 she was a supervisor and director. We know from 2006 to 2009 she was an assistant principal. We know from 2009 until now she served as principal. These are all posts. And I guess I've worked with 15 or 20 principals, and they have very similar career paths. They work their way up, and then they reach the zenith. So why do we honor her? Is it because RBR is continually ranked in the Washington Post list of best high schools in America? Yeah. Or Newsweek's top schools in the nation? Yeah. Or New Jersey's monthly best high schools in New Jersey list, which year after year RBR is on? Yeah. Maybe it's because she successfully implemented a $1 million small learning community, a grant that she reapplied and got it again. She managed the funds, developed the program, communicated such to teachers, students, and parents. Yeah, that's significant. $1 million is significant. Or maybe it's because she wrote another grant, or maybe it's the same grant, on a school-based youth service program, providing a multitude of services. Maybe she also established the ELL, Latino Scholarship Program, through grant funding and private donations, establishing a direct pathway from high school to college. Yeah. Maybe because she provided clinical case management via her licensure as a certified alcohol and drug abuse counselor. And maybe before she came to RBR, when she was an adolescent specialist at Raritan Bay up in Perth Amboy, that prepared her for the role. That's an unusual career path for someone to become a high school principal. A lot of them are these dumb physical education teachers that just, because they coach a football team, they can't even speak, let alone think.
You can do that.
Now, as principal, she had to supervise curriculum and manage personnel and mediate and resolve parent-student issues She had to develop strategies to improve academic progress, and she had to do 797 other things. Those are the transactional duties that go for every principal, and that's just part of the job. But now, there are things every principal does or should do to transform the environment. That's different than transactional. Zippy the chimp can do a lot of the transactional stuff that has to be done. But to transform an institution, that takes a little more. And I think a more fitting word for you is a transform or transformer. Schools of today have the wonderful responsibility of preparing students for jobs that don't exist yet or are rapidly moving into something else. Jobs that nobody knows what they'll be tomorrow. All the curriculum and the curriculum standards and the core standards and the standardized tests, that's all fine and good, but they do not take into consideration the motivation of the learner. No one ever talks about that. The single most important thing we can do in a school is to teach students to think for themselves, to make good decisions for themselves, and to treat others with courtesy, dignity, and respect. But they have to be motivated to do so. And to be motivated, they have to be engaged. And to be engaged, they have to feel like they belong, they have value, they have self-worth. This, I think, is Risa's greatest strength. She engaged students every single day, all day. Now, for those of you who work at RBR and those of you who have been to RBR, if you're going to be an administrator there, the first thing you have to be, before any of the other stuff, you have to be in good physical shape, because you're going to put miles and miles and miles up and down and around in the hallways there. It's a big building, and it's going to get bigger. Risa was determined to set a school climate and atmosphere to engage all students in the community. And she was relentless. And as a result of that, let's see, forgive me for this. She was a recipient of the Monmouth County Education Association Friend of Education Award in 2018. That's the NJEA, in case you didn't know. I'll be nice. She was also the recipient of the Community Affairs and Resource Center Partner in Education Award in 2015. She also received the Martin Luther King Community Service Award in 2015. She received an honorary degree at Brookdale Community College and was a commencement speaker at their commencement exercises a few years ago. I don't know of any principal or superintendent that ever spoke at college commencement ceremony. She was the NAACP recipient as Educator of the Year in 2011. She was also the Wilbur Ray Award Educational Service designee in 2009. She also received from 2006 through 2012 the Best Practices Regional Model from the New Jersey State Department of Education for ELL bilingual instruction in secondary schools. She also received from the Department of Health and Human Services a National Award for Outstanding School-Based Health Services. All those things are indicative of her engagement strategies while she did her job. She also learned to speak and become fluent in Spanish. She reached out and established liaisons with all cultures in the community. She interacted, as was noted by the mayor here, countless students on a daily basis. But she brought an upbeat, positive, infectious enthusiasm every day to the job. Now, she didn't have inexhaustible energy, she had exhaustible energy. She's kind of exhausted, okay? Many of the time I would see her at the end of the school day, after she put in 6, 7, or 8 miles and made 100 decisions, totally spent at her desk. But you know what? When there were activities that night, whether it was a parent meeting, a game, a contest, she was there and went with it. You know, leadership has several obligations incumbent with it. I think the most important is to set a climate, a culture, a mood, an atmosphere, an environment. You know, we've seen the effects of leadership on our state, our country, the world, the type of climate that has been established by leadership. So in closing, Risa, on behalf of all the people here in Red Bank and Little Silver and Shrewsbury, we thank you for your dedication. We wish you all the best. And she's not going to just go down the road to oblivion. She has an itch. She's going to do something. We don't know what it's going to be yet. But you can't just sit around like me. So, once again, young lady, thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, the lady of the hour.
Wow. I didn't prepare anything. I just want to say that I just want to thank everyone for being here. I just want to say that having the privilege to work with the students and staff, I'm the one that's grateful. Thanks.
Any members of the council wish to express any words? Council President?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to say that, I mean, the amount of people in this room that came out for you and to support you really tells us what you do for this community and what you do for them. So I wanted to thank you from the bottom of my heart for all you do for our community.
Thank you.
Principal Clay, so well deserved. And I'm thinking here, some parents have kids in school and they'll go their whole 4 years in high school and never ever meet the principal or even know where their office is. I wasn't that parent, unfortunately, but it was great meeting you, and you were always there to support my children at RBR. So I thank you and wish you the best in your future endeavors.
Thank you. Divisions, Councilwoman Morgan.
Yeah, I've known Risa for so many years now, and what can I say about you? You're fabulous. You have given so much of yourself to the kids, and as Senator Gopal said, Elijah just adores you, and I know the other students do too. And as Eric said, all of these people are here for you. And I have to say, your husband isn't bad either. I knew him before I knew you. Before I was on council, we were on the Human Relations Advisory Committee together. And so I've known both of you for quite a while. Thank you for all that you've done. I know that your future holds great things for you. So doors will open, walk through them.
Thank you.
Risa, you have an absolute heart of gold. I've been so fortunate to learn about you through the students on the street, on my street, and you've impacted them so much. You've made them feel so at home at times when they do not feel at home, and I'm very grateful for that. I hope to keep marching with you, to keep working with you for a better world. You've been such a friend to the Latino community. And I want to tell you that you are so valued and treasured, and I know that's just a small piece of the work that you did, but I want to tell you that I know how hard that barrier is to break sometimes. I know how hard it is to gain that trust. So you are such a very special person. So thank you so much, and I look forward to working with you more.
Ed, can you hear us?
Risa, it has been a great honor and pleasure to have worked with you over the years. You are an inspiration, and you and Michael really do an awful lot for our community, which we are very grateful for. I wish you the best in your retirement, and take me. Sorry I couldn't be there in person.
dying to stay for the rest of the meeting. None of us on the dais will feel offended or jarred. It would be your pleasure maybe to have cocktails on a beautiful afternoon, midweek. So if you wish to be excused, you're welcome to do so. You're welcome to stay also.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I know, what is this all about?
Where's my partner?
Frank, could you close the door, please? Frank, could you close the door? Okay, we also have two other proclamations this evening. Red Bank was one of the first communities in Monmouth County and probably central Jersey along with Trenton and Princeton a number of years back when I was approached by the coalition on the coalition to end gun violence and also the mayor's coalition against handguns. So I think Red Bank was the second municipality after Newark. Former mayor, now U.S. Senator Booker was number one. Red Bank was number two in signing in the mayor's alliance against handguns. And thereafter, we were approached by extraordinary individuals and some very young people one year and said we ought to do an annual event where we promote the educational outreach to people, especially people who don't normally come to council meetings and don't normally adhere to the statistical data, which is really not uncontroverted about the cancer of gun violence in the United States, which is perpetrated, yes, by people, but it's perpetrated more importantly because there are the availability of guns in the United States that is not the same availability in other Western civilized nations. So every year we try to reaffirm our commitment to that. Hopefully we'll stop doing this when we finally get it right as a nation. But until then, we still have to keep on resisting and we still have to keep on working at it. So the proclamation reads as follows: whereas every day 96 Americans are killed by gun violence, and on average there are nearly 13,000 gun homicides in the United States every year. And whereas Americans are 25 times more likely to be killed with guns than people in other developed countries, and whereas protecting public safety in the communities that we serve is the mayor's highest responsibility, and whereas support for the Second Amendment rights of law-abiding citizens goes hand in hand with keeping guns away from dangerous people, and whereas mayors and law enforcement officers know their communities best, are the most familiar with local criminal activity and how to address it, and are best positioned to understand how to keep their citizens safe. And whereas in January 2013, Hadia Pendleton, a teenager who marched in President Obama's second inaugural parade, was tragically shot and killed just weeks later, would now be celebrating her 21st birthday. And whereas to help honor Hadia and the 96 Americans whose lives are cut short and the countless survivors who are injured by shootings every day, a national coalition of organizations has designated June 1, 2018, the first Friday in June, as the 4th National Gun Violence Awareness Day. And whereas the idea was inspired by a group of Hadia's friends who asked their classmates to commemorate her life by wearing orange, they chose this color because hunters wear orange to announce themselves to other hunters when out in the woods, and orange is the color that symbolizes human life. And whereas anyone can join the campaign by pledging to wear orange on June 7th, the first Friday in June 2019, to help raise awareness about gun violence. And whereas by wearing orange on June 7, 2019, Americans will raise awareness about gun violence and honor the lives of gun violence victims and survivors. And whereas we renew our commitment to reduce gun violence and pledge to do all that we can to keep firearms out of the wrong hands and to encourage responsible gun ownership to help keep our children safe. Now therefore be it proclaimed that I, Pasquale Madam Mayor of the Borough of Red Bank, do hereby proclaim that Friday, June 7, 2019 is the National Gun Violence Awareness Day in the Borough of Red Bank, and encourage all citizens to support local community efforts to prevent the traffic effects of gun violence, to honor and value human lives, and to wear orange. Ladies, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you. Hi, thank you. Hi. Very much. Can I say a few words before we
Absolutely,
take
yes.
a picture? Okay, do those. Thank you very much, Mayor Mena and the Red Bank Borough Council. My name is Elizabeth Friedman, and I am the local group lead of Monmouth County Moms Demand Action. Moms Demand Action is a nonpartisan volunteer group that started after the Sandy Hook shootings in 2012. We respect the rights of Americans to own guns, but we also believe that we can do a lot better to prevent the over 36,000 deaths every year due to gun violence. So we believe in education, in safe gun storage, and awareness. And we thank you very much for making this proclamation. It's the first Friday in June. We are also having an event that I would like to invite you to. We are having a Community Day of Action on Saturday, June 8th at Liberty Park Community Garden in Neptune Township. And that whole weekend is Wear Orange Weekend. And if you text orange to 64433, you can find out about all kinds of events that go on in your community. So thank you very much.
Thank you again.
And if we could take some pictures, that would be lovely. And if we could, I don't know, if we could just take with the mayor or with the whole council, if everybody could
stand up. How's that?
We can come down.
Oh, okay.
Could I ask, could somebody take the picture on his phone if you're not in here?
Do you pay?
Thank you. You got more signs? Yes, if you want to pass the signs, yes. And you may keep the signs too, please, if you want to post them someplace. That would be great.
I
Yes.
feel like we should go more back in the bush.
Yeah, wherever you want. Yeah, if somebody wants to go over there, or make it good. So can you get going? Are we okay? There we go.
Oh, okay.
More. And then with this phone,
Yes, it's still on. Thank you.
you gotta leave me your thumb so I can more.
Oh, is it there? You got it.
Thank
I had a good so much. Thanks for dedicating and our survivors. Perfect, thank you. Thank you so much again. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Post them someplace. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
We also have the Pride Month resolution, proclamation, and I don't think anybody's here on that. The Red Bank for the first time will not just be a participant in Pride actually will be hosting and sponsoring the Pride event for the first time in our history in a borough facility, which is Riverside Gardens Park. And I believe we as a council thought that it was high time and important not to be an invitee, but to be a leader in equality. And this is just a reaffirmation of what the council believes in a modern expression that we are a municipality. We shouldn't be guests at a Pride event. We should be hosting a Pride event, and we are for the first time. So thank you all. And I especially want to thank Councilman Zipprich for encouraging us to move forward in even greater efforts, which we are doing. So the proclamation reads as follows. I'm sorry, Ed?
If I may, this year marks the 50th anniversary of the Stonewall riot, and I think it's only fitting that we celebrate appropriately the strides that the LGBTQ community has made in the past 50 years. Thank you.
Great. Okay. Whereas the former Stonewall Inn in New York City, a public establishment frequented by members of the gay community, was the site of the June 27, 1969 uprising that sparked the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender civil rights movement, and whereas the Borough of Red Bank fosters the value and importance of diversity among its citizens and employees, and acknowledging that they cut across ethnic, cultural, racial, gender, identical, and sexual orientation boundaries. And whereas the Borough of Red Bank celebrates and recognizes the many accomplishments and contributions of its many citizens and employees who identify themselves as members of the lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender LGBT community. And whereas in 1993, New Jersey became the 5th state in the United States to ban discrimination based on sexual orientation. And whereas on December 21, 2006, Governor John Corzine signed legislation granting gay couples statutory rights of married couples, making New Jersey the 3rd state to do so. And whereas in 2007, New Jersey became the 9th state in the United States to ban discrimination based upon gender identity and expression. And whereas on October 21, 2013, New Jersey became the 14th state to allow same-sex marriage and the first to do so in the wake of the landmark U.S. Supreme Court decision that struck down the Defense of Marriage Act. And whereas the Borough of Red Bank has taken measures to prohibit discriminatory policies and practices based upon sexual orientation and identity in the areas of employment, housing, and public accommodation, including the adoption of a resolution in support of equality and civil rights for lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender Americans in July of 2009. And now therefore, I, Pasquale, Madam Mayor of the Borough of Red Bank, do hereby proclaim the month of June 2019 as Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, and Transgender Pride Month in the Borough of Red Bank, and we ask all of our citizens to join us in celebration and in continuing the battle, because it is still not over. Okay?
I just want to say I want to thank the Parks and Rec Committee and Charlie Hoffman for pushing this forward. The Pride March is the result of meetings we've had at the Parks and Rec Committee, and what Councilman Zipprich started, we're moving forward with it. So I just wanted to give a shout out to Charlie and to Eric, who's the chair of the committee.
Thank you, Kathy. Couldn't agree more.
Any other comments? If not, and thank you, Kathy, for reminding the next item, which is the announcement that there will be a Pride in the Park on June 8th from 12 to 2 p.m. at Riverside Gardens Park. Any members of the public have any comments on anything on the public agenda for this evening's meeting? Yeah.
Can I just talk? I don't.
Yeah, just use the microphone. And
Ann Roseman, 6 Alston Court. I noticed on your new ordinance 2019-26.
I'm sorry, which one, Ann?
2019-26 with the alternate side of the street parking. Most of the streets have 2 days, but the street that I live on has 1 day, and I assume that's because one side of the street has no parking posted anytime. So I just hope that it'll be explained well, whether you can't park at all on the street on that day, or I just,
I know what you're talking about, Ann, because I
there'll be
live on one too.
problems.
And our streets, both yours and mine, are too narrow for both sides, and so we're going to have to work that out, and we'll figure it out.
Right, so that's my comment.
It's a good comment, but again, you and I have the same problem. Yeah, we do. Any other comments on any other ordinances or resolutions on the agenda? Okay, if not, motion to close? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We have workshop meeting for 5/1/2019, the minutes, motion? Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And minutes for the regular meeting of 5/8/2019, motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We now have the budget element of the municipal meeting. Ordinance 2019-28 is the annual ordinance, which is the ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriations limit and to establish a cap bank pursuant to NJSA 44-45-14, which is the ordinance that we have statutorily undertaken every single year. Is there a motion to introduce?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, roll call?
Councilman Triano?
Yes.
Councilman Ballard?
Yes.
Councilman Yingstrom?
Yes.
Councilman Zipperich?
Yes.
Councilwoman Horgan?
Yes.
All right, the public hearing, since it is introduced, will be on June the 19th at 6:30 p.m. We now have Resolution 19-149, a resolution introducing or authorizing the introduction of the 2019 municipal budget with a public hearing of June 19th, 2019 at 6:30 p.m. Is there a motion to introduce?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Or do we need a roll call vote on that? Yeah, we need a roll call vote on that. Go ahead. Roll call.
Councilman Triano?
Yes.
Councilman Ballard?
Yes.
Councilman Yingstrom?
Yes.
Councilman Zipperich?
Yes.
Councilwoman Horgan?
Yes.
All right, as previously indicated, the public hearing will be on June 19th at 6:30 p.m. With respect to ordinances, I previously announced that under ordinances 6A, small numeral 2, 3, and 4 are being tabled, have been tabled to June 19th because the planning board has not met. So we go to ordinance 2019-21, which is the bond ordinance providing for the 2019 capital improvement program by the Borough of Red Bank and appropriating $3 million and authorizing the issuance of $2,685,000 in bonds to finance part of that. And the ordinance has been provided on the public forum before any members of the public wish to be heard on the ordinance. If not, motion to close.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion to adopt the ordinance.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Mayor, if I may?
Sure.
I just want to thank the governing body for supporting the administration, finance, and all the departments in putting this ordinance together in order to further the infrastructure improvements for the borough. And I think it's a tremendous testament to all of your care and concern, and I just want to thank you again for your support on this.
Okay, and no other comments? There's been a motion and a second. Roll call?
Councilman Triano?
Yes.
Councilman Ballard?
No.
Councilman Yingstrom?
Yes.
Councilman Zipperich?
Yes.
Councilwoman Horgan?
Yes.
Okay, the ordinance passes and will be implemented. Thank you. On first reading, ordinance 2019-25, the ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 680 with respect to parking and traffic regarding parking for vehicles. Motion to introduce.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Triano?
Yes.
Councilman Ballard?
Yes.
Councilman Yingstrom?
Yes.
Councilman Zipperich?
Yes.
Councilwoman Horgan?
Yes.
Okay, the public hearing on that and the other ordinances which we are adopting this evening will be on June 19th at 6:30 p.m. And the The comments by Ann as well as myself will be taken into consideration as we deal with the next ordinance also before its final implementation. And that is ordinance 2019-26, which is the ordinance creating chapter 680 of the section 680-62 regarding alternate side parking. Is there a motion to introduce?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? If not, roll call.
Councilman Trujillo?
Yes.
Councilman Ballard?
Yes.
Councilman Yingstrom?
Yes.
Councilman Zipprich?
Yes.
Councilwoman Horgan?
Yes.
All right, the ordinance is introduced, public hearing June 19, 6:30 p.m. Ordinance 2019-20.
I'm sorry, if I may just chime in one more time. Just for the benefit of the public on 25 and 26, in case it's not clear, because unless you work in government, you may not understand it. Those two ordinances do go hand in hand, as you alluded to, Mayor. One of them actually creates the regulation for the alternate side of the parking, and then the other one actually adopts the schedule. So they both are the same thing, but they work hand in hand because of the reference to two different places. So I just want to make sure it's clear.
Thank you for that clarification. Ordinance 2019-27 is the ordinance to revise Chapter 446 regarding news racks to regulate the purpose and placement of existing and future news racks near or upon public streets, sidewalks, and outdoor spaces. This has been an unregulated and somewhat unmanageable issue for many years, and our borough attorney, after reviewing the matter with the direction of the council, the administrator, and also Public Works, and in conjunction with the business community, decided that we should set forth a regulatory pattern which is fair and reasonable, and this is what this ordinance does. So is there a motion to introduce?
So moved.
There's a motion and a second, Councilman Zipprich and Councilwoman Horgan. Any discussion? If not, roll call.
Councilman Trujillo?
Yes.
Councilman Ballard?
Yes.
Councilman Yingstrom?
Yes.
Councilman Zipprich?
Yes.
Councilwoman Horgan?
Yes.
All right, again, public hearing June 19, 6:30 p.m. on resolutions 19-142, resolution to approve the hiring of Parks and Recreation summer staff, which is what we do every year. Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
I abstain.
Okay, Councilman Ballard abstains.
Aye.
And all else in the affirmative. Resolution 19-143, ratifying and confirming the appointment of a backup call-in animal control officer. Motion? Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution 19-144, accepting the resignation of the plumbing subcode official Robbie Bailey. Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution 19-145, authorizing the renewal of club licenses for 2019-2020. Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution 19-146, authorizing renewal of plenary retail distribution licenses for 2019-20. Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution 19-147, authorizing renewal of the plenary retail consumption licenses for 2019 and 20.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
A lot of drinking here. I would think you would have moved it all faster. Resolution 19-148, a resolution requesting approval of the Director of the Division of Local Government to establish a dedicated trust by rider for donation for the Red Bank Animal Welfare Advisory Committee in accordance with NJSA 48-5-29. Motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, comments by Mayor and Council members. Michael?
Thank you, Mayor. Welcome, everyone. Just really quick for the Animal Welfare Advisory Committee. The committee wanted me to share some statistics with you on the TNR program. That's a trap, neuter, and release program starting in last year. Yeah, sometime last year. So since the program has started, there have been 62 cats in the borough of Red Bank that have been TNR'd, trapped, neutered, and released, vaccinated, or chipped to date. 16 surrendered to the SPCA, mostly kittens, for adoption, and 4 are euthanized due to illness. And again, the whole point of the TNO program is to reduce the cat population, the stray cat population within the borough. So we've seen obvious progress, so kudos to the Animal Welfare Committee. Also wanted to quickly congratulate our borough administrator, Ziad Andrew Shahadi, on his anniversary. He survived a year in Red Bank, so I'm pretty impressed with that. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I offered him a medal, he said he'd like a raise. Congratulations, and thank you for putting up with us.
My
Kathy?
pleasure.
Kathy?
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I really don't have anything, except that I was at the library on Saturday, and one of the free programs was a very lovely English cream tea. And the woman who organized it knew everything about tea. It was interesting because she talked about the history and how important it was in politics and that. And I've been a tea drinker all my life, so I really I enjoyed it. But it's just to say that our library has so many wonderful programs. Many of them are free, and I would hope that everyone would try to take advantage of at least one of them. It's your library, and they're there for you. So it was a great tea. I did enjoy it.
Thank you, Kathy. Eric?
Thank you. The Memorial Day Parade and ceremony will take place this Monday. Lineup will start at 11 a.m. on Irving and Arthur Place. It's going to start at noon. The ceremony will begin immediately following the parade. We'll be at the Veterans Statue on 51 Monmouth Street. A local Marine and Veterans advocate will be our Grand Marshal. In the event of rain, the parade will be canceled and the ceremony will be moved inside to the Elks Lodge at 12:45. Please check the borough website for any decisions that will be made by 9 a.m. that morning. The first evening of West Side Jazz will be Friday, May 31st at 6:30 p.m. Our performers will be Music Beyond Trio, and that's going to take place at Johnny Jazz Park. And as the mayor said, we're very excited for our first annual Pride in the Park event. This is going to be June 8th from 12 to 2 p.m. It's going to feature music, kids' activities, and presentations in a family-friendly atmosphere. Hope to see everybody there. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Kate?
I have no report for police or the Environmental Commission. I just wanted to make note that the firemen's service will still be happening on Memorial Day before the parade, starting at 9:30 a.m. as is tradition. And I just wanted to share that last night I had the opportunity to join our fire department in a walkthrough of the West Side Lofts building. They were doing a walkthrough so that they could get to know the building better, to understand it just in case of an emergency. And I just wanted to say how grateful I was to see them in action, just checking every hallway and checking every nook and on the roof, and well, this would be a hard entry, this is how we could do this, and just seeing the collaborative effort and the passion they had and how excited they were just to be there for the community, and you know that they're volunteers I was just very grateful. So I just wanted to say thank you to them for their great work that they're doing.
Thank you. Ed?
Thanks, Mayor. Very briefly, River Center has begun its beautify the downtown with its annual flower pot placement. They're being placed by the business district, and they are really brightening up the streetscape. The White Street English Plaza reconstruction project began Monday. We look forward to the progress that they will make during the course of the next 3 months. And everybody can follow that progress to the news link at the River Center website, which is redbank.org/news, or on the borough website, redbanknj.org. And personally, I want to express my sympathy to the family of Tim Hogan on the tragic loss of his daughter last weekend. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed.
I'm sorry, Mayor, can I jump in? Someone I forgot to congratulate on their week and a half anniversary. The gentleman to our left, probably don't know him. This is our new CFO, Peter O'Reilly. Peter, welcome. Thank you for coming back for your second week. And I wish you all the best of luck.
He's stuck with us. And nobody mentioned, but I know that we already had announced it, but I think Red Bank experienced an extraordinary an absolutely win-win situation for us on an issue that we were working on for the past year and a half with the county on funding, and that is the Shrewsbury Avenue Streetscape Program. We created a Citizens Advisory Committee. The Citizens Advisory Committee met many times, and some of their comments and concerns were communicated. We were trying to get the matter rolling, and of course some funding became short. But fortunately for us, our governor came through, and Red Bank was given a grant of $1 million for the Shrewsbury Avenue Streetscape project. So I want to thank Governor Murphy. I want to thank our legislative team for assisting. I want to thank our administrator who kept dialing and kept on calling everyone and keeping the pressure on as to the need for Shrewsbury Avenue to have a Declaration of Independence Day to reestablish itself as the primary corridor for local business and traffic in Red Bank, which it was in the last century. This is the Declaration of Independence that the residents of the West Side have been looking for. It will be extraordinary, and now the next step is for us to coordinate with the state, coordinate with DCA as well as the other agencies, including the county, and we will be continuing to work with the county and to get our Citizens Committee back together to strategize. It's going to be the announcement was just made, so it's going to take some while, but we're ready to roll up our sleeves and put a plan together to make it happen, to create a community of space and pride by our West Side component of a unified Red Bank. So that's all I have. There's no discussion or action items, is that correct, yeah? Kate, I'm sorry.
I just wanted to thank our business administrator for working so hard for us to achieve that grant. I know we spent a lot of time on that. And I also wanted to thank our grant writers who, since we did not have a grant writer before for the town, this is one of the results of that, is that they spent a lot of time and effort on this grant. So I just wanted to say thank you to both.
And it worked. And it's only the beginning.
Money well spent.
Absolutely. And talent well spent, too. Any members of the public have any comments or issues they want to bring to the council? Ms. Gregory?
Allison Gregory, 109 Bank Street. So actually that was one of the things I was going to speak about tonight, so great job. Thank you so much for securing that grant that was desperately needed. Unfortunately, until that is done, we need more enforcement on Shrewsbury Avenue, Bridge and Chestnut. Those are two intersections that in the last week I was almost hit with my 3-year-old daughter jogging to take her to school. I'm at a loss. I've brought this up many times in the last year. I know you had mentioned you would have more police presence, more police enforcement of yielding at the crosswalks. People do not yield. They seem to have an agenda, they have busy lives, and they just don't stop. I was halfway, actually 3/4 of the way through the intersection the other day at Chestnut and Bridge, and a guy ran the crosswalk as I was 3/4 of the way across with a stroller and a 3-year-old. So I'm not saying this just because I like to complain. I'm bringing it to your attention because we need more enforcement. I'll end with, I know you guys can't speak on, because that's a new rule, but with a raise of the hand, who would join me tomorrow morning starting at 7:45 by Shrewsbury and Locust to see exactly what I'm talking about, that people do not yield. And these children are crossing to get to school, and I'm afraid for their lives. Any show of hands of anyone wanting to join me? I'll bring coffee.
That would be nice, but none of us could enforce it. You need a police officer there, not a politician. Thank you.
I would disagree. Since you guys won this election, you're on council to protect the citizens of Red Bank. So I'm pleading with you to help protect the citizens of Red Bank by looking at what isn't being enforced.
Police will be advised. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, if not, there's a motion to close. We also have